The MacBook is one of Apple's most popular computer options, and we've talked here on the channel that I've been using one for about the last 3 years to run everything, whether it's a 13-inch MacBook Pro or a 16-inch MacBook Pro. So today we're gonna go through my buyer's guide, like as summer rolls around to an end and people are gonna start going to school, whether remotely or in person, or you're gonna start doing some more working from home, let's talk about what I think of the current MacBook lineup. So what does it look like and what are my recommendations? Let's find out. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Let's just hop right into it. Let's get straight to the Apple sizing. So the first Mac that we're gonna talk about today is the brand new MacBook Air for 2020. Now, honestly, when it comes right down to it, I don't really recommend the MacBook Air 2020. The only way I would recommend this computer is if you're a student that gets that discount, or one of the other categories. I forget all the categories that qualify for Apple's discount, but if you qualify for that discount and can get it for $899, then I would probably recommend the barest of the bare bones, this specific 1.1 gigahertz dual-core i3 processor. It does come with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of solid-state storage, the Magic Keyboard, the Touch ID, Retina panel. It is, if all you're gonna be doing is typing and browsing the internet, it's a fine computer. It's lightweight, the battery is pretty decent. The problem's really gonna run into, as we've said in previous videos, heating. It does not have good thermal performance in any way, shape, or form. So if you're gonna be doing anything that involves lots of tabs, any kind of actual work like video editing, it can do video editing, as we've proved in a previous video, but it doesn't do it fast. The way that the thermals are designed is it does have a fan, but the fan's not connected to anything. So I only recommend it. I only recommend the MacBook Air if all you're gonna do is type and make a spreadsheet or two at a time. If you're doing multiple things of anything, I do not recommend it. And don't buy it at $999. Only buy it if you can get that cheapest version. It does have a higher end with a quad core. Heck, look, you can even get an i7 processor in this thing. Like, you can get an i7, look at that, a quad core i7. Don't buy the quad core i7. You're wasting, if you spend that kind of money putting a processor of that size in a machine that has heating problems, you're basically, all the money that this $150, you're throwing it away. MacBook Air, let's move on. Let's move on from the MacBook Air. So the next up is actually the computer we're using right now, is the MacBook Pro 13 from 2020. Now, this also has its own fair share of thermal problems. It's not the best thermally optimized computer on the planet, but I do recommend this one as like the lowest end of the MacBook line if you are looking to get some power usage out of it. So we can go over to the tech. Oh, this one also has 13-inch MacBook Pro, $1199 in our education store. Definitely get that one if you can. Now, I personally use this lowest end model, the 1.4 gigahertz quad core with turbo boost up to 3.9 gigahertz. It does have 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabyte of solid state drive. It's got the Retina panel, all of that stuff. If I were to buy this as my only computer, and I was looking to save the most amount of money possible, but get the best performance, I would get the base model with the 16 gigabytes of RAM. When I use this computer, yes, it will do Final Cut fine, it will do Premiere fine, but it only does one thing at a time. I can't have Final Cut rendering in the background and then browse the internet. It's just too much active memory needed for that. So at the very minimum, get the 16 gigabyte RAM option. I know $200 for 8 extra gigabyte of RAM, kind of expensive. I mean, they call it the Apple tax for a reason. But if you're going for the cheapest, this $1499 version, probably where I would go. I would not get the quad core i7 if you're gonna get this base model MacBook Pro 13. But if you do need a little more power and you want a MacBook Pro 13 with a little more oomph, then I would go up to the $1799 version. And in that base model, you get a 2.0 gigahertz quad core i5, but this i5 is the 10th generation, the newest generation of Intel chipsets, whereas this, the cheaper base model, has an older version. But you get a couple other benefits getting the $1799 model. You get dual fans instead of just the single fan on here. You also get 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports as opposed to 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. You get better speakers, and you can also upgrade it a little more if you want to, where you can get things like a quad core i7, that's a 10th generation i7. You can get up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. You can also get up to a 4 terabyte solid state drive. But okay, Gary, you're telling us all these great things. How much does this cost us? Well, team, that'll run you about $3,600, which, okay, I would recommend this version if you just have to have the most powerful, well-equipped, most amount of storage that you can get in a tiny laptop, then yes, get this version. You can actually get, and I'll show you here in a second, you can get much more for your dollar. $3,600 it's a lot. I wouldn't spend this on a MacBook Pro 13, but like I said, if you can only carry this tiny amount around, then yes, I would say go ahead and get this one. But let's say you need some actual power. You're a power user, much like me. You got videos to edit, you've got photos to edit at the same time that the videos are rendering. You are crunched for time. That's where the MacBook Pro 16 comes in. And yes, the MacBook Pro 16 is now, there could be a refresh right around the corner in the fall sometimes, but I don't ever really recommend waiting. If you have a need now, buy what you need now, because even if they refresh this, it's not gonna be that big of an upgrade. So the 16-inch is insane, and I'm a very big fan of it. It's what I use in my personal work. At the base model for $23.99, which also goes on sale. Actually, these go on sale all the time. Let's see if it's on sale right now on like Amazon. So let's see your MacBook. So look, you could get the MacBook Pro 16, the one that we're about to talk about, for $2,099. So heck, you can save $300 off the Apple website right off the bat. So what do you get for that $2,099? Well, you get a standard 6-core i7 processor, which is pretty darn powerful. You get a dedicated graphics card, an AMD Radeon Pro 5300 with 4 gigabytes of memory. You get 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage. Like, that is a beefy system, and you can get actual work done with this system. Like the base model 16, like when I say I like the base model MacBook Pro 13, it is a powerful computer. It does everything that I need it to do, but there are a few caveats. Thermal performance, 8 gigabytes of RAM just isn't enough. The processor is powerful, but it could do better. There's almost no downside for the base model 16-inch MacBook Pro unless you have like serious requirements. And even I don't necessarily need more than that. But if you're looking to get like something what I have, here's the personal specs that I have on my MacBook Pro 16, which gets me through everything, handles all the work here on the channel, doesn't ever really even break a sweat. So I have the MacBook Pro 16 with the Intel 8-core i9 processor. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I have the Radeon Pro 5500 just because it was $100. If you're already buying the MacBook Pro, you might as well get the version with a little bit better graphics for $100. So that will run you around $3,500, or will it? So welcome to the second part of the MacBook Pro buyer's guide. Buy refurbished. So let's actually check out the refurbished section for all of this stuff. So yes, so if you have to buy new, buy that $2,099 version on Amazon. That is a good deal. But what I like to do, especially now that MacBook Pro 16s show up on here, I buy my MacBooks refurbished. So MacBook Pro sizes 16-inch. Look at this. So it's not as impressive with that deal that you can get on Amazon for brand new. But let's go, oh, they don't have that many on the market today. This refreshes all the time, so right now, it doesn't show everything. But I got mine, the one that you just saw that would cost around $3,600. I got that for around $3,000. So pay attention to the refurbished market because you can find some fantastic deals in here. I mean, heck, look, if that sale does stop on Amazon, there you can save your $360 on the base model. Does this come with any upgrades or is it just the standard base model? 16 gigabytes, 512. Yep, this is the standard base model released in November. Let's see here. So what does this one get us? The i9 8-core. Let's see if we were going to spend the same amount that we talked about earlier. What would we get? We would get 32 gigabytes of RAM, the i9 4 terabyte solid state drive, and we would still get the Radeon Pro 5500. So look, you should buy refurbished when you can. So yes, so those are my recommendations when it comes to each like system if you're looking for a specific computer. What I personally recommend in certain like use cases, if you're going to school and all you need is just like a running around school laptop, get the MacBook Pro 13, the cheapest model. And if you can afford the couple $100 extra and give yourself a lot more capability, get that version with the 16 gigabytes of RAM. If you know for a fact that you're never, ever gonna do like video editing or photo editing, the 8 gigabytes of RAM is totally fine. If you're looking for more of a pro device, you're trying to you've got lots of photos, lots of videos that you're processing, or you just want something that could replace a desktop because of how well it works together and how well the thermals perform, yeah, the MacBook Pro 16. That is such an easy recommendation because every great thing that I've said about the MacBook Pro 13, it does better. I've never, ever had a heating problem on the MacBook Pro 16. So everything that's good about the MacBook Pro 13, that does so much better. Standard, it comes with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. It can manage more monitors. It can do everything better. The only thing that the MacBook Pro 16 has, I guess that you could call a negative, is it needs such a beefy power source that you pretty much have to use the included power brick to get the full power out of it. So if you do set it up on like a home office dock, most docks don't supply the power, and you will get like some battery drain as you're using it. A lot of people in the comments have told me that they're perfectly fine with that, but it just plugs in. It's too easy to just plug it in, right? And then if you are working from home, you kind of can split the difference, right? If you're only gonna be doing like WebEx meetings or FaceTime stuff, the MacBook Pro 13 will do fine. If you were doing stuff like coding or compiling, yeah, absolutely go with the MacBook Pro 16. So yeah, this is my buyer's guide for MacBooks in summer of 2020 if you're going to school or you're working professional or you stay at home all the time. And heck, if you buy one of these machines and you're looking to get some accessories to take it to the next level, well, good news. I've got videos on accessories for both the MacBook Pro 13 and the MacBook Pro 16. I'm gonna put them both right here. There's gonna be 2 videos right here, and you should watch both when you get a moment. I mean, whatever. If you want to, if you've got time, watch both videos. And you can click here to watch those. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching this video.